Is WoW back, boys? Is WoW back? What is this? World of Warcraft's recent performance is shocking. There's new data. Okay, let's check out what all this data is. I've been telling you guys it's been feeling good. The expansion's been good. I feel like there's a lot of people playing the game. Let's see if the numbers back up the way we've all been feeling. Here it is.
Welcome back to the Warcraft news. There are big stories this week. Data suggests the game may be popping off like never before. The worst kept secret of the expansion's been blown wide open. We may have a patch release date, free heroic gear, and some more of some people's favorite part of the War Within. Even more shots of Xal'atath's feet. And that means that somebody at the cinematics department learnt a lesson.
Thank you for the
Be
bits.
like Tarantino, create your own luck. With that said, though, let's talk about the numbers going up. Let's get the big story done first. This is good news for Blizzard because apparently World of Warcraft is at its biggest point ever. And that seems completely insane. We think the Days of Wrath could never be back. And they won't be. WoW will never be that size in one incarnation. That's where it gets interesting. So, Kira, Operator Warcraft Logs believes that WoW is at an all-time high player count, and that...
Oh, wow. So across all versions of the game, it's at an all-time high. I'm fairly certain World of Warcraft is at an all-time high player count across its entire lifetime. The number of players in China playing Wrath of the Lich King is on par with the highest retail peak we've ever seen. Now, don't forget, I mean, these guys are running in Wrath right now. China didn't have WoW for like 3 years. Was it 2 years? 2 years they were out without WoW. The entirety of basically Dragonflight and I guess Wrath of the Lich King Classic. So holy crap. Then add in SOD and the War Within on top of that, and they're saying that's the highest ever. Holy crap. Thank you again for the bits, guys.
That's all down to the numbers that they're getting from their site, and of course China's big return to Azeroth. You see, NetEase and Blizzard fell out. Allegedly Bobby Kotick really pissed off NetEase. They fell out, the deal fell through, and that meant that China missed Wrath Classic. Wrath originally was humongous over there, and the renewed partnership that has now set up Wrath Classic servers basically means that there are now 11 million characters with Ulduar logs, right?
What the
11
shit?
million characters, and that's on the Chinese Wrath servers alone. Here I tweeted this. The numbers of players in China playing Wrath of the Lich King is on par with the highest retail peak we've ever seen in Warcraft Logs' lifetime. And that does mean something. Warcraft Logs has been a bedrock of the community. It has been generating numbers, giving us statistics for years and years. Now, yes, this is not complete conclusive evidence, but 11 million characters exploding into Ulduar certainly is kind of crazy.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's not. Obviously, Blizzard doesn't report the numbers directly, so you always have to kind of give it in a convoluted way, but 11 million... That's huge. What was the biggest number they ever had on the WoW box? You guys remember when you used to buy the box version of the game? They always had like a big gold emblem that would say like whatever million players. Was it 14? Was the highest they ever put on the box? I can't remember, but yeah, 11 million is crazy high. I mean, that's just the characters playing Ulduar. That's not everyone who's playing. That's just people who are actually raiding. That's insane. Yeah, I think 14 for some reason was the biggest I remember ever seeing on the box game. Man, those were the days.
Because even if you say that there's like 4 characters a person, which seems a bit unrealistic for Classic, that would still be over 2 million players at max level playing that product and raiding. That doesn't even count the people who won't be getting Ulduar logs. So it could be closer to 3 or 4 million, depending on the number of logs, and that's on top of the around 7 million that we were back in Dragonflight, and then you add on top of that everybody who's returned to the War Within. And that does mean they could actually be in spitting distance of Wrath of the Lich King's 12 million peak. But we should temper expectations.
Okay, so 12. 12 was the peak. Thank you so much, POTUS. And yes, I am on YouTube, and so are you now in the little chat box. This video will go up later. But, so 12 million was the peak. I spoke wrong. It wasn't 14. 12 was probably the highest they ever put on the box. So 11 million raiders, that's pretty insane. That's pretty... I knew China was going to obviously do that. And a healthy WoW in China is good for us because it just means more money for the game to be developed. But these numbers are pretty crazy. I wasn't expecting that.
A little bit. Look, if Blizzard did actually beat an all-time record and they felt it was sustainable enough that they could actually give us, like, maybe not a public number, but just say that this is the peak, I think they would have. I mean, Xbox would certainly like to loudly report on a big win. Like, what incentive do they have not to? There's also then the split with China revenue, right? Because a whole bunch of that's going to NetEase, so the success is too rooted in China, they may not want to trumpet it out too loudly. But still, I do think the Warcraft is on the upswing, even statistically.
Yeah, I agree.
Take that Illyria animation.
There's a lot of people who I know who skipped Dragonflight, some who left during Shadowlands. A lot of them came back for the first time in War Within. And all the ones who came back, I played with some over the weekend, actually, some cousins and things. They all love it. They all love it. They're like, wow, this game's really good. Some of them are experienced dragon riding for the first time, which is kind of funny. But they're all telling me, like, the game feels really good. And I can't agree more. The questing's good. Zones, music, stories. It's all pretty good right now. So hopefully it continues. It has to continue for a good expansion at the end.
It's up to 7.9 million views
on
YouTube,
Xbox?
Right? In 1 month, it is
Maybe
the
one day.
15th most watched video on their channel. It's eclipsed everything except for the real big cinematic, so that's kind of impressive by the numbers. Thankfully, though, we do have some modern numbers. So WoW Progress shows a 64% increase in heroic first boss kills on the third day as compared to the same in Dragonflight. That's actually pretty damn impressive. I mean, the first boss in Heroic is obviously just, that's just a piece of free loot, essentially. But still, as an example, that's a number that my guild will contribute to. Thing is, though, we did our normal clear. We're going to be doing our heroic clear towards the end of this week. So I've got to imagine there's a lot more that will go into that number. And again, first boss kills, they don't exactly tell us much, but they do give us a good benchmark for participation.
Yeah,
now, you
exactly.
can absolutely argue that there are other variables like, say, access to delve gear, hero talent power creep, and a general trend towards easier raids that is present now and certainly was not present, as present back then in Vault of the Incarnates. But I still think this can't be a bad sign. They don't place any bets yet, and trust that we will do a full breakdown once we've got enough numbers that we can feel confident in giving you a good.
Yeah, I'm interested in these numbers. These are typically what we look at to see, how participation is and what the numbers are in terms of how many people are playing WoW right now. Because rating is usually, I would say, probably one of the things that most people participate in. Is WoW only on PC? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Only on PC.
Good analysis. It's not all good news today, though. So Warcraft Rumble, according to longtime game journalist Stephen Totilo, is being put onto post-launch live ops, which basically just means they're going to try to make as much as they can, but very much while spending as little as they can. The game is not dying, but don't expect any more content, and certainly, even before layoffs, it's not like I was expecting much content either.
I mean, how much content do you need to put out for a damn mobile game? Just make some more shit for people to buy. Warcraft Rumble, Call of Duty, Warzone Mobile, yeah. Mobile games are money printers. That's all they are at the end of the day.
It's not like I was expecting much content either. That's from it, not from us. You can go and read the full history of the Earthen up on bellular.games, which is our site. So if you want to know everything there is to know on them, that is the place to go. And we have so much content queued up for next week. There is one big, fresh, juicy lore video that I think you're going to love, a new Lore Walking podcast episode, and a ton of gameplay content. And if you want to get in shape for Season 1 right now, maybe you did your first raid now and you think, oh boy, could have done more DPS. Well, why not check out our key binding masterclass, which I'll link down below. The big picture of the site membership is how I want us to run on our own steam rather than relying on platforms and algorithms. And a big thank you to the hundreds of members who have joined up already over the last while. Okay, let's talk about the next patch. We know that the next patch is going to be live in November at some point to celebrate the anniversary, but Blizzard may be taking their 8-week content cadence promise extremely seriously.
Yep,
I mean,
end of October. Already reported on this, boys. Your boy beat it out. Yeah, it's looking like 10/22 is going to be the time that this launches. And this is based on some in-game stuff that was data mined, including the dungeon event and WoW Anniversary event. These are basically your calendar, your little calendar events that show up in the in-game calendar. Well, they were mined out, and yeah, we're getting an end of October launch, so we could be playing the anniversary event on Halloween, which is pretty cool.
Even an expansion launch is enough to deter them here, apparently, because the anniversary event calendar is actually up in the public test realm, where there it says it's slated for October 23rd, and that is just 5 weeks from now. That's the thing that'll bring all the crazy events, the transmog, the class and hero talent reworks, and of course, the Blackrock Depths raid. Yeah, we've only just started the season, but there's basically a whole stack of content on the way. Now, not all PTR calendar dates will make it to live completely intact, but again, it matches the 8-week period, it matches the calculations I made last week, so I do think this is something that Blizzard at least wants to make happen.
Yeah, and Blizzard said they don't want this anniversary event to be like a 1 day or 1 week thing. This is not meant to just be the day of the anniversary. They wanted it to be like an 8-week thing. So this makes sense. End of October, it's going to carry over basically into the until January, right? The first week of January when it ends, and that's perfect timing. And then you're also going to get in there. You're going to get your Halloween events and your Christmas events and all that stuff going down. So the Winter Veil stuff. So it's really cool. There's going to be a ton to do in the game in these final months of the year.
Speaking of making things happen, we just did the raid. We defeated Ansarak. And with that, we of course got a new cinematic.
Oh God,
and,
is he going to spoil
compared
us?
To the campaign stuff,
I don't want to see this. I don't want to see this. I don't want to see it. I didn't see it yet, so I don't want to see it. Yeah, fast forward, fast forward, fast forward. Oh God, he's talking about this for a while. Okay, keep going. Okay, yeah, we're doing no spoilers today. There we go. We'll go here. Yeah, okay. And here.
Alatath is making the first move, not Ansarak. After delivering the Broken Queen to the Weaver alive, though, there's no statement along the lines of, now we must depose her traitorous daughter.
No, I would kill her today.
It's all oddly non-committal. Now, plot-wise, I think the most sensible series of events is fairly clear that we end up taking out Ansarak first, but that by that point, Xal'atath had got what she needed. She'd spread around the Black Blood, mined it for years, and took control of the Nerubians through the Ascended, who, of course, she can influence via the Black Blood. And
yeah,
she does that
that's not a spoiler. Obviously, we're not going to defeat Xal'atath right now by killing Ansarak. It's not going to happen. Of course, she's going to win. And right now, the theme basically is Xal'atath is always 2 purpley void feet ahead of us, 2 steps ahead of us at all times. So, of course, anything we do right now is going to play right into her plan.
Launch the attack on Hallowfall that ends the story. That's at least what makes sense to me, but it is oddly unclear. Maybe story mode, which opens up next week, will give us like a breadcrumb quest that kind of explains this stuff. But big picture, my guess is that the campaign and raid teams are basically trying to not hold each other back. Maybe things just got locked in a little bit too late, and that means it's kind of awkward now. I'm not super sure how I feel about it. I mean, it is kind of a shame, but I did like the way that the campaign felt like it had a satisfying ending, right? A little bit closer to an FF14 where, the raid isn't really getting in the way of the main storyline. But if Blizzard does do that, they should take care not to lose gameplay spectacle. That's where FF14 gets massive work done with their trials. As for the raid itself, well, I've cleared it normal, and one thing's for sure, the trend of Dragonflight is continuing. This is not a hard raid on normal mode. It is an absolute...
We're just getting stuck on the second to last boss. What's their name? The Web Council or whatever they're called? That's it. It's just because it's a pug raid, and it requires some communication in terms of tripping up the bosses with the webs and doing those things. Once we get past that, we're going to be just fine. But overall, I agree. The raid difficulty is on par with Dragonflight in that it's mostly, pretty easy. You just get to know the mechanics and do it, and you win. It's the days of Shadowlands raiding with wiping to Anduin 336 times. Those are gone. They're not going to do that anymore, which is good. It shouldn't be like that.
Cakewalk. So, yeah, like 1 3-hour night of basically having unoptimized characters, though some people that did go very far delving themselves out, we got through the whole thing. I can at least say I had a blast. I thought some bosses were cool, but obviously I need to wait until I do heroic mode to really report back. Okay, let's finish things off then, because a lot's going on. The good news is we'll be diving deep into classes next week, and on Monday we'll be diving deep into delves, basically because there's just been hotfixes and changes for days and days and days, so I want to bring it together into one big picture and kind of give you a guide that makes sense in light of all the changes. Now, for the immediate though, if you want a mount that's got features, but you don't like the yak and the grummels, Blizzard are going to sell you a solution with this lovely bear. It's a really nice mount, but again, it really blows that the only other transmog mount in the game is a paid one. So
I might do a giveaway eventually for this one, maybe soon. But yeah, it's a nice looking mount. I've seen it in the game already. It's got transmog on one side, repair on the other. And it's the updated, it's like an up-res bear. Boy, it's nice.
The other drama of the week then was bans. And as always, there's some good and bad. Essentially, people were able to creatively use some game mechanics to get way further ahead on the severed threads renown, to the point where it basically isn't fair. So Blizzard obviously needed to do something. They did do bans, they did do rollbacks. What matters, though, is what they actually said. So here's the quote. Game integrity demands that there be consequences beyond just rolling back gains, or we're just incentivizing competitive players to take immediate advantage of every exploit they find. That is true. People always say, exploit early, exploit often. It is impossible for Blizzard or any dev to ensure that no exploits will ever happen. but it is possible for them to say there will always be consequences. So what I've got to do is to have consequences and apply them evenly. That makes sense. This is a live game, and as much as delaying everything until a single bug like can't even be found, like that seems laudable, but there's 2 points. Number one, loads of bugs only happen in a live environment for a very many complex technical reason, and also World of Warcraft is a live game. If Blizzard dally, then other games will just come in and try to take their players, so it's always a balancing act. The downside, though, of course, is that with all ban waves, there can be some false positives, can be some people caught up in the crossfire. Right. Then I've got some transmog news. So first up, Dragonflight PvP ensembles, which in many cases look pretty damn good, are coming in 11.0.5, which means you can farm out Marks of Honor for them.
Nice.
Wowhead then also came upon Elite ensembles. I saw loads of people saying, oh my god, Blizzard are going to be selling the Elite armor that people like ground so hard to get. But no, they seemingly, if they make it into the game, will only be for people who originally unlocked them in the correct season. The BTR then turned up another oddity for us, Season of Discovery weapons, and these are really neat, especially if you, say, want a Spyro shield or this Paladin sword. I mean, man, this Paladin sword looks absolutely incredible. Now, there's no word on if they'll actually be obtainable, if these are maybe some sort of crossover promotion event, or if more things may even come, like, say, the Axe of Cenarius, which would be pretty exciting.
Maybe. But crossover events are a big thing. You guys see the Overwatch crossover event going on? That one looked really cool.
More mogs right now, what you can do is unlock an Earthen and blast out the starting zone. Doing that will unlock a bunch, and they can be used in other dwarves. It's also clear the Blizzard want to make good in the trading post, or at least be seen to try to do that. So this month there is a mount at the end, which is certainly good. And then there's big hitters in the 1105 data mining, and I mean big. Sylvanas Coomers, your time has came, as have the big sweaty muscle men who get to have a Varian Rin Gladiator transmog that looks pretty damn cool. And for another slice of the fan base, the bad news is you'll never get your Draenei Fuda, but what you will get, some magical witch girl transmog, which is actually going to be on the trading post when previously it was a store bundle. Now that I've offended everybody, though, here's something uncontroversial. These hoods and capes that are new look so damn good.
Yeah, they're nice.
You can't get them yet. They'll probably be a future trading post, but what you can do is get loads of gear now and avoid loads of gearing mistakes, and you can do that by watching our Season 1 gearing guide next.
Oh, great video. Those numbers are crazy, man. Those numbers are crazy. Now, I do think in and of itself, the War Within is just doing really good. Like, I think the numbers for the War Within are high, but I did not expect the China explosion of the Wrath of the Lich King Classic, although I probably should have. They do love that, and everyone loves the Wrath of the Lich King. Good video from Bell here.